Welcome to A Day with FMZ, a global initiative to bring in leadership perspective and also education series, creating an impact and also ensuring that the knowledge is spread across. We understand the best practices of different locations. And today we have Wing Commander Srikanth, who is heading facilities and real estate from Pegasystems. And welcome Srikanth and welcome Lisa, my co-host. Welcome Lisa and over to you.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much. And when you called me up the other day, Vinay, I really felt made me important leadership series and Srikanth there. Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
We're so delighted to have you on. You bring such great experience through the Indian Air Force, which allows you to share expertise in technology and facilities acquisition and management and all kinds of forms of leadership. Your leadership statement is knowing the road ahead is more important than knowing that you rode ahead. That in itself is a phrase to live by. So, how has that guided you in your work?
Interesting. Thanks for the opportunity. Right. Many years back, there's a newspaper in India called the Times of India. And there used to be a small column called Speaking Free, which largely comes out with the uh, articles on morality, ethics, how to live, and all that. There was a snippet called SMS chat with God, right? A person and another and God are on an SMS or a WhatsApp chat, and the discussion follows, and he says, "I'm always busy," right? And then God replies, "Don't be busy, be productive. Ants are also busy, but you need to be productive. Where productive frees up time, and being busy actually eats up time." And the final statement is, knowing the road ahead is more important than knowing that you rode ahead. What it actually comes out with is practically you become more self-aware rather than following the rat race, because even if you win the rat race, you still are a rat, right? So um, what it it actually opened my mind to say that yes, this is a statement to live by. And when you think deeper and deeper into this, you become more situationally aware, you become more grounded, and you become more empathetic to with people that you work with, and rather than just following instructions and running. And when you go home and close your eyes and think what you did today, it's like running on the spot. But when you have this as a statement to live by, every day seems to be really different. And when you have a thing that you have to perform for anything that you have to deliver, you pause, you analyze, and then you act. And this step approach, right, is when you pause, analyze, and act rather than just take off and run in that direction, you at least head in the right direction. So this has been a mantra for me, and I put it in my LinkedIn, in my Facebook, even in my WhatsApp status. So every time I open, this is like a flashcard that's always on my mind. Yeah.
That's a great reminder.
Thank you, Srikanth. I think when I started my career started with the Captain Gopinath. He's from a defense background. I can understand typically three things I learned. I'm also very inspired by you. Like one is discipline, dedication, and determination. I think three things which he typically used to tell us beginning of my career, right? So and it's a big transition, right, from a military background to a corporate background itself is a big huge transformation transition, I would say, because the mindset has to change, the culture is different, right? You have been transited from a military to corporate real estate facilities and administration, and no doubt it's vastly different words, right? What parts of your military leadership you adopted for a corporate leadership, right? If you want to bring back from there and adopt here, and which has given you success.
Decision making process, people have a different view of the military. Decision making process there too is extremely consultative, but when the final decision is taken, everybody falls in line. That's a because everything has been analyzed and this is the final aim, right? So from a leadership, that's the decision making part of it. But from a leadership perspective, you can there are many you can speak for hours together on this. But Adaptive leadership is one concise thing. Never ask your troops to do anything that you can't do, because when you give an order, your troops are going to charge at the enemy facing, who is practically firing at you, right? In the military. So it is going towards your death. And if your troop has to believe in the officer's command, you must realize what level of trust they have in you, right? They are actually running towards the enemy's bullet, facing the enemy's fire, right? So so what do you think, if anybody asks me this question, adopting an adaptive leadership is practically the officer, the man in charge has to get his hands dirty first. When that happens, the troops will in any case follow. That means what happens is, if there is a problem, administration or facility management, real estate cannot be done sitting behind a desk. You have to be at the place where the problem is, and more the leadership is seen at the point where the problem is. Moment you have physical presence, 50% of your problem is naturally sorted out, because you can take decisions on the site. And when the troops start seeing you more and more, the level of confidence that yes, my leader is with me sets in, and the trust naturally builds up. And what happens is, when you start working with the troops, you start getting more and more viewpoints. And what these viewpoints are, not just viewpoints, they are voices of leadership from below, right? Even the people who are below you are leaders to some extent, right? There you might have a large three departmental leaders under you, and they are giving, when they start giving you inputs, it's voice of leadership from below. And and that leadership, and from their downlines, when you hear many viewpoints coming in, you are able to take better, a wholesome view, getting situationally aware, identify challenges, regulate distress. And and you also have to, when you are at that leadership levels, irrespective of military or corporate, you have 2 ears and one mouth, so you have to listen more and speak less. And so possibly, and to that proportion, you have to listen and speak, right? So speak 50% of what, more than what you listen. And when you get so many viewpoints, and when you start acting on it and available on ground with the troops. When I mention the troops, more and more, because that's the military part of it, here it is your team. And when you are with the team more and more, trust builds. And when trust builds, teams perform uh, many x times than they can actually deliver, right? It's like those birds flying in the sky in V pattern. One bird, if it can fly only 10 kilometers, if a flock of birds have fly in that V pattern, they actually deliver 70-80% more than what they can do. So if birds can do that much, humans with all their intellect and sixth sense, they can deliver more than 5x, 10x, 11x, right? Than what they can deliver if you have a proper team. So leadership and teamwork are two. Um, Actually, good leadership builds effective teams. That's how you can say it. Yeah. That's how I have brought that part of it here. Adaptive leadership.
That's great. It sounds like it comes down to, if your team that you're managing understands that you know where they're coming from and that you have their back, they're going to go the extra yard, and working together as a team, be able to perform.
Exactly. Yes. Yes.
You specialize in some of today's hottest competencies: remote and hybrid work, sustainability, automation. How do you plan and enable your staff to ensure that you can support these new strategic needs of facility management? How do you give them the tools they need in the training?
Each topic is a separate interview topic, I guess. Remote, has sustainability, automation, all of it. Yeah. Uh, so, what I would say, in there was a pre-pandemic era, there is a remote, there's a hybrid era at this point of time, and this hybrid era is practically good to stay, right? Rather than seeing facility management as a support function and doing the run-of-the-mill activity every day, facility managers, if they see themselves as experienced designers, right, rather than facility managers, I just do FNB, I just do, because moment you design experiences, right? What I mean to say is, a person who comes into an office experience admin on facilities actually impact that person by in 20 touch points: pantries, front office, physical security, electricity, air conditioning. Like this, there are 20 touch points. Let's say you have 100 people office. 100 into 20 is 2000 touch points for that. And with every touch point is a transaction, is how can you impact that person's experience in office, right? Is it a good experience, bad experience? If it is a good experience, you've done your work, right? So how can you shape experience? So experience, call yourself as experienced designers, and you see facility management in a different light. So transpose it into remote and hybrid work. How can you do experience designing sitting in office for an employee who is remote, right? I'm not going to give an answer because it has to, because time is a commodity out here at this point of time. These are questions, and there are no wrong answers in this for the thing that you do. And as far as sustainability is concerned, very very important and very large subject. You just have to start with your electricity, water, and electricity, water, and waste. Calculate those data, and if you even have 2 years of data with you, you can at least do a small step in get your plastics removed from your office. Have you, because if 2 years data if you have and map it in a graph, you can have a straight line in the graph, and you can then extrapolate it for the next couple of years, and then arrive at a ESG committee and start meeting them, have a policy. The remaining part is automation, right? Automation is, moment we say automation in facility management, what we do is, okay, let me go to the market and get a visitor management, get a space booking, get a meeting booking, get something else, right? And we try to have a bouquet of apps and then say, I have done this for my office, not realizing that very fact that you have a BMS in the system and you're not exploiting it, hardly exploiting it for 25%. You have a Microsoft 365 which can do wonders, and you don't know how to use it. The power automate thing that I'm saying. Point is, rather than getting into use the automation first and foremost, before you have automation, what does automation do? It gives you a standardized experience throughout the office, right? In all the offices. Point is, if you have a nice policy made and automate that policy, rather than first get your policy right and then automate that policy. It says that if I'm a manager, I'm not authorized for a cabin, the automation is already done. First have a policy in place, and then go into the market for a automation software, right? Moment you have a policy in place and then automate, you have a standardized experience throughout. And practically is about developing your staff's ability and upskilling them for the next level of, because people are used to the pre-pandemic in office, heads down work. And when you want to um, upskill them, um, for example, in Pega, one of the facility managers, we told them that, do you really want to manage the office after doing the same thing 20 years? Why don't you do global sustainability? And he was happy having a role of that. This remote hybrid work has actually opened up space for a lot of people to have new roles and laterally move within the function itself.
Thank you, Srikanth. I think well articulated. Today, when we talk about automation, it should help to keep things very lean, make my job very easy, and the kind of data we collect should be measurable, because today most of the decisions taken based on the data. I think, and again, ensuring the staff engagement, because at the ground level, if the technology doesn't work, it doesn't work anywhere. So we need to consider at the ground level how does it function, and how do people at the ground level adopt to technology is very very important. We may talk at a high level, management level, CXO level. We talk about fancy things, but until and unless, because the data should come from the ground to take a decision at the top level. So it's very
Absolutely.
important. And if you think, like, if you have to advise a new or a developing an FM on a single most important thing to be focusing on today, what would that be? I know understand today's dynamics. If you have to advice, the single most thing for an FM to develop, what is that advice you're going to give?
That question really makes me feel old, actually. Yeah. An old man giving advice to the next generation.
I would say it's an experienced person with expertise from the military background plus the corporate blend of both giving an advice.
Wonderful. What I'm thinking, what I thought was business connect is extremely, extremely important, right? Because the pulse of the business is essential for a facility manager to develop. And when with keeping that in mind, if you yourself see how your organization is working, you have various business units. And when you ask 95% of the facility managers, they say, I'm a support function, right? But you have a massive budget to, and your expenditure function, right? I'm a support function. Don't see yourself as a support function. Shape yourself as a business unit. When you shape yourself as a business unit, what happens is you have anybody who comes to facilities administration wants something, right? Can I have X? Can I have Y? Can I have Z? Right? If if somebody is coming to ask you, coming to you and saying, "Can I have?" That means he is an internal customer for you. So if you shape yourself as a business unit, how businesses treat their clients, you will treat your internal customer in the same fashion. Then you will start thinking of your P&L. Then you will start thinking of effective onboarding, your IT resources, workspace management, and all this gets intertwined. And within in the background, sustainability is running, upskilling is running, in your great FNB experience is running. All this mixed up with employee health and safety and uh, what do you call that, human emotions. Finally, it is all people and having a happy workplace. Treat yourself as a business unit and upskill the team, and hear the voice of the business and the employees. And when you do all this, um, you have a, I think that's the mantra for any FM to do, for the next gen FM. Be business oriented in mindset, right? When you have business oriented, your perspective of FM changes. Yeah.
Thank you, Srikanth. I think, Lisa, you have anything?
I was gonna say I would want to work for you. So that that's great leadership advice. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
sharing that.
I think one of the critical aspect you brought out was basically as an FM, we need to transit or transform ourselves from a facility manager to a business leader because we need to drive it like a business unit, not like a typical support function or a cost center. Because today, FM function, we have seen in the pandemic also that the impact it has created in the organization, ensuring business continuity in pandemic, ensuring controlling the cost, ensuring managing a virtual office space. Today, I tell FM is not just physically managing the built environment, is also managing the virtual environment, like typically driving that, ensuring that every new hire is getting the infrastructure set up and ensuring the induction happens. So it's
Lovely.
important
Wow.
as a fact, we should start having a belief that I'm adding value. Second thing is to demonstrate that we are adding value. Third thing
Yes.
is that we create value for people, business, and an organization. And considering the sustainability today, like ESG, we are creating value proposition even for a community level. So I think we should be proud of what we are doing is one, and drive with passion. Like unless you don't have passion, it's very challenging. And leaders like you, I think, as Lisa said, everybody would like to work with a leader like you. I think that is what we have to create an energy around. And you need to think that you are a CEO of a business unit as an FM and drive it with passion. And this is a very small time, Srikanth. We would like to have more, I think, interactions with you on a leadership series. I think one thing we did with one of the colleges on the customer engagement, right? I think we would like to cover that. And thank you for
We,
your time.
you and
And
I, just to, yeah, you and I have attended a gazillion meetings together, FM conferences together. And the point is, you will see a lot of facility managers saying, why isn't facility managing professional in the high table in the boardroom, right? So if you got to be, if you want a chair in the boardroom, you got to think like a business
yes,
unit rather
Right.
than a support function. Yeah.
And
yes.
focus on the whole experience, which is a great.
Whole experience. Absolutely. Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you for your
Thanks.
time, and we keep doing more with. I think we'll schedule one more in the next calendar year, maybe Jan. I think we'll cover focus on I think I like your session on customer engagement. I think with the different age group, with the millennials being there, old school, I think it's important for us to focus. I think we'll have one scheduled in Jan. And thank you for your time and sharing your insights. Thank you, Lisa. And any of you want any specific topics to be covered, please write to us. We'll cover that. And if you want any leader to be part of this, please suggest. We'll be happy to host the leader. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you so much. Thanks for the opportunity. Thank you.